This is a quick overview of what to complete in your logbook for your Cert 2. Even though you might assume that we know a lot of these details, still make sure that you fill those out completely when you started the work placement and when you finish it, which will be on the original paperwork that you received. All throughout the booklet, if you've got one of these that we've written on, the stars are the ones that you need the supervisor to complete. So that's really important that you get that done. You can ignore this paperwork, the first few pages, that's just boring about details. Make sure you got your name on there, your emergency contact, details, etc. And the business where you're at. Make sure you fill out all those details so that they can be contacted and things can be verified. About the workplace, this is how you generally fill that out. So the industry type is just like a big umbrella overview of what the industry is. The business activity, so what that business does. And what kind of environment it is, whether it's indoors, outdoors, etc. So if it was a Cert 2 in kitchen operations, you're in the kitchen, which is considered back of house compared to front of house, which might be like waitressing. Summarising the tasks undertaken, you can just do dot points there, but you need to list every single thing that you got busy with. So it might be cutting and preparing food, reorganising stock, ordering, etc., supporting the chef. Providing examples of the equipment and tools used. Don't underestimate anything here. This is just to demonstrate the skills that you've got through the work experience. So don't think this is something big and complicated like specialized cooking equipment. It could just be utilizing knives safely, because there's lots of different knives, as you'd know better than I would. Commercial dishwasher, might be another one. And it can be as simple as beaters, whisk, oven, etc. Briefly explain how this work placement supports your career pathway. So how has you doing this work placement benefited the clarity that you have on what you'd like to do for work? It could be that through this experience you learned that it's not something that you want to do in the long term, but maybe just for a few years whilst you do other things. Or it could be that it's really affirmed that it's one of the best things that you could possibly have done. Or it could be that it didn't float your boat as much as you thought it would. Or it could be that you realise that the industry is definitely not for you. Because let's say maybe it's too fast-paced and you're more of a slower-paced person. As in you like to do things more thoroughly instead of quickly. The logbook's really important. Make sure that this adds up to the required number of hours that you need. So you add it up there in a running tally. So that'll need to make sure you hit those hours before you finish the placement. Make sure your workplace supervisor signs that off. Now, when we originally planned the work experiences with you, you had the right number of days and dates there. However, if you couldn't make a certain day for any reason, or if you're sick, etc., then you'll need to do an additional day. That means that you need to have a chat with the workplace, see how many hours you've done, and just see how many additional days you need to do, which is on top of that original paperwork that we sorted out. So make sure you communicate that with the workplace. So ask them if you can do another day, etc., however many hours you're behind, and also let us know that as well, just so we can update our paperwork. So that's the important bit to prove that you've done the hours. Usually you won't bubble over onto that second page, don't worry about that so much. This looks big, long and complicated, but it's actually really super simple and quick. All you do here is you rank how well you think you did each of these things. So I is you need to really improve that. Didn't do fantastic, but that's okay because it's all a learning experience. Satisfactory, good, and excellent. So on the left is like not so good. On the right is pretty good. Little reflection if you like. So how well did you speak clearly? Oh, I tend to mumble a little bit, so I'll put satisfactory. Did you listen and understand the instructions given to you? Yeah, pretty well. I'll give myself excellent. So this is you evaluating how you thought you went. Did you acknowledge people in the workplace? How well did you work with others? How well did you, add ideas for how things could be improved? So each one of these areas, make sure that you can tick. Apply OH&S practices. That just means safety in the workplace. So when something was spilt, did you clean it up straight away? When you had a door open, did you let people know that were walking towards that door so they didn't run into it if they're walking backwards, for example, carrying something? What technology did you use? So even though you might think respect the physical work of environment isn't really relevant to the work experience you did. It is, you just got to think about how it's specific. So how did you take care of the space that you're in? Because obviously it's not your space, you don't own the space. So how did you contribute to it, take care of it, appreciate it, be thankful for it, look after it, etc. Using time. How well did you understand your position in the organisation? Were you open to new ideas and change? How much did you look at things of how they could be improved? Now this is your little reflection here. And this is a bit more of like a story kind of reflection. And you can do dot points if you like, as long as it covers all the bases. Here you go into what you did well, what you could do to improve, and how you're going to use this in the future. That's the gist of it, okay? So what you did well, boom, boom, boom. What you think could be development areas for you, what you struggled with, what you got feedback around that maybe you didn't do very well, which is okay, you write those things down, and how you're going to use this whole experience in the future. Here is where the employer makes sure they fill out these details. This is where they just simply list the activities and the tasks that you did. It's not about how you did them, it's just what were the specific things that you did. They made milkshakes, they helped me with food preparation, etc. This is where they tick some boxes on you, how well you dressed appropriately, did you ask questions in the workplace, etc. Don't worry about this second page here. And their overall comment, which is where they write that more story kind of feedback around you. So the 3 bits circled there is, the overall performance. So it might be like, Jocelyn performed quite well in the workplace. She asked lots of questions, which was a strength of hers. However, for a professional kitchen environment, she probably worked a little bit slowly, and so if she could work in the future at increasing the speed of her knife skills, that would benefit her in the industry. So that's the kind of thing that the employer would write, and then that's the end of it. Once you've completed that, make sure that you bring that into us so that we can take a photocopy of it and scan it so that you have a copy, we have a copy, and then the RTO can be provided with the copy so that you can finish your course.